Hi guys, welcome back. It's Jen, the Soul-Filled Yogi, your spiritual coach and crystal junkie. So the next topic that I want to talk to you guys about is one that I recently actually found on Instagram. I kept seeing these images and these pictures with this word on it or this term on it, and I just kept thinking, what the heck does that mean? And I feel like maybe possibly I've been under a rock a little bit because I feel like I should have known about this before. But it's good because it gave me something to learn about and educate myself on, and now I get to share all that information with you guys. So this term that I saw on Instagram and it kind of like pulled me in was Indigo Children or Indigo Child. So I thought, okay, what does this even mean? And part of me assumed that it had something to do with the chakras, and we'll talk about chakras in a later lesson, and it does. But so what the term indigo child means, essentially, is somebody that is, well, in some of the references that I saw, people say it's like a new DNA imprint. I'm not sure I really subscribe to that channel, but what I think in my own interpretation of it is that it's like a higher vibrational person, higher vibrational, heightened awareness of the world and the way things work, possibly from being here for many lives and past lives. So everything that I have read has kind of drawn me to that little conclusion, because a lot of these people, and honestly to the conclusion that I think I'm probably one of these people, which is pretty exciting. I'm like, ooh, I'm an indigo child. Like, I'm probably not gonna go tell people that, but it's pretty cool. A lot of these people are very empathic, have a lot of psychic abilities, psychic gifts, and they come into this world to change things, to question society, to change the way things work, to put a new imprint into this world, to inspire people to become leaders, and very in a different realm instead of that kind of format of like structure that we've seen over the past, however many years. It's very, these people have inner knowing, right? Inner knowing of what they're about, what they're here to do, their mission. And though sometimes because they are highly empathic, they have that feeling, they are sensitive people, they can shut that off for a while. They generally come back to it and realize they really have something that is a very intense life purpose. So I can definitely relate to this in my own experience. Growing up, I always had this feeling like I was different. I couldn't understand why I felt things so deeply, and I understood where people were coming from without knowing their situations, or how could I understand people's energies in a way that they weren't verbalizing to me. As a very young kid, I remember knowing those things about like my parents, my family dynamics, weird things that I didn't know how I was knowing. And then, fast forward into, the years of schooling and all of that kind of structure, these intuitive, indigo people tend to be very creative. I was very much into art and it was my outlet, but a lot of the stuff that happened to me over the years really kind of squashed this feeling of like, I'm different, and turned it into not that good thing. Like, I'm different, I'm here to do something good, but I'm different, people don't get me, I will not be understood. And it took me many, many years to be able to kind of part with those false thoughts about myself, to come into this place of like, actually, I'm gonna go back to what I came to this earth for, and knowing that that's a real purpose. So a lot of these people, these types of people, go through a path of, or a amount of time where they shut that off, and then they have to come back to it. But it's this rediscovery of our higher selves and our calling, knowing that we're here for a reason, right? And the other thing is being able to use those psychic gifts to be able to help other people. So indigo children tend to be people that know they're very drawn to helping others, to being light workers and things like that. And one of the things I found really, really interesting about this, They said from a lot of what I read that it kind of was people typically born after the 70s. One of the things I thought that was pretty interesting to me is a lot of these people will just have this innate knowledge and they don't know where it came from. So for me, I was the type of person that when I was in school, I could get A's, and I didn't really have to ever really read a book or try to get an answer, like a math question, try to get that solved. It just would happen. And it's almost like I could look at a book and just know what it was about. And I never knew why, I just knew this stuff. Right? So it's this kind of feeling of like this inner knowing, like I've been here before, I've done this, and whether it's something you can put your finger on or, comes through later and you're like, oh, that makes a whole lot of sense now, it's definitely something that's very real. A lot of times I will teach workshops and people will ask me, how do you know all this stuff? And a lot of the time I don't do crazy amounts of research. I've certainly learned, some trades and, energy work and things over the years, but when I'm speaking, I'm channeling, and I just know this stuff, and it comes right out of me, and I don't have to try to communicate it. It just flows through, right? It's like I know, and people say, Jen, how do you know how to do this? How do you know how to heal people? I don't know. I just know, right? So this is another kind of Indigo Children kind of a thing that will happen. So maybe some of you guys are like, oh wow, that seems like me. When I was doing the research, I was like, oh, that explains a whole heck of a lot. Wish I would have known that when I was a little kid, right? Like, you really are different, that's okay. So this term Indigo Children is kind of used as a term to, it's like that you have this intuitive ability, this, and it can manifest in a bunch of different ways, but it's this, you're on a mission, you have an inner knowing, you have that something coming through you, not always that you know what it is, but it's like an imprint in you from whatever you believe in, past lives and whatnot, or universal stuff coming through, or just being, a conduit for energy, or whatever it is. It's just this knowing. And also just the term, like I said, I was going to come back to this, the indigo child, like that term indigo, and we'll talk about the chakras later. So the chakras, we'll talk right now. I'll just mention the basic 7, moving up from the tailbone up to the crown of the head. There are many more than that. Won't go into that right now, but they go to the colors of the rainbow, right? So Roji Biv, if you've ever heard that, I'm sure you've heard that. What is that? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, right? So violet doesn't really in this sense, but so indigo, it's higher up chakras. It's kind of a way of saying what these people are. They're higher up, right? Vibrationally higher up, right? So it's actually pretty cool where that term came from too. So I hope you guys enjoyed learning about that. I really enjoyed learning about that. And I will see you guys for the next lesson.